In this video, we're going to create a one-page sales page with a single call to action button. Actually, that's not quite right. There is a second button available on this page, so you can decide if you want one button or two. But anyway, it's a simple sales page with a call to action. It just has a title at the top, a short description, and then a highlighted button, get a demo. Also, this secondary button that I mentioned links to the source code in this one, and then you've got a nice screenshot. You could also add some additional detail at the bottom if you like, but it's a simple sales page, pretty bare bones, with the main call to action button. Let's create a screenshot of our product. In my case, I'm working on an API, and so there's not like a website I can snap a screenshot of or whatever. So I'll just use curl as an example here to grab an example screenshot. I haven't built the API yet, so I'm just going to use example.com, and I'm just going to request headers. And so imagine that that's the API output instead of just the headers for example.com. But then I'm going to hit Command Shift 4. That turns your icon into this little square or cross icon with some pixels on it. Hit the space bar on the keyboard and it will capture an entire window. You can see the window highlighted in blue here. Then I'm just going to click on that window and the screenshot is captured and it's saved into my screenshots directory. So we'll just leave that there for now and we'll use it a little bit later. Now let's fetch a little project. This is an open source project on my GitHub that's called TryMe. There's a link to this in the documentation for this video, and that's available on joeldare.com. And all I'm going to do is switch to my sandbox, and I'm going to just run this curl command to download this main.zip file that you see here. So I'll go ahead and hit enter. It'll quickly grab that. Then I'm going to unzip main.zip. That will create a directory called tryme-main with just a couple of little files in it. And then I'm going to rename the tryme-main folder to my project, and the command in Linux for that is move or mv. So I'm going to move tryme-main to my project, and then I can switch into the my project directory, and I can just load up those files. This project, let's get rid of this. This project just includes an index.html file, which is a super simple HTML with a head and a body. It's got a title, a short description, and a couple of buttons. Pretty straightforward. And it uses a framework I call Neat CSS, which is more just a template than a framework. It's just some CSS and a very simple HTML file that I use to get started on many of my HTML projects. And it also has a little bit of custom CSS that makes this look like a sort of like a sales page with just a screenshot and a title and a couple of buttons. So super simple, just HTML really, but I just grabbed the file off of GitHub to make creating this really quick. All right, so let's create a directory for our project and then create a little README file that we can commit. So I'm going to create a directory called feature flag, since that's the feature flags, I guess. I already have a feature flags directory, so we'll call this feature flag. And then we will go into the feature flag directory, reuse this window lowercase, and just open this directory. And we're just going to create a README for now. This eventually will be our project, our feature flag project, but right now I'm just going to create a readme.md and give it a title, feature flag API. This is an API for feature flags. Go ahead and open my terminal again. And then we need to create a project on Git, and we're going to go ahead and push this feature flag API to Git, to GitHub in particular. So I'll go to my GitHub page, create a new repository. Call it feature flags. Make it public. And go ahead and create the repo, and then I'll just copy these commands that GitHub gives me. Initialize the empty thing. Add the README. I have it in lowercase, so I'll just type that command myself. Do the initial commit, and I always call it my initial commit. We're going to switch to the main branch. Add GitHub as the origin. And then we're just going to push the code. And for the most part, I just copied and pasted those instructions from GitHub. It's now pushed to GitHub, and if I refresh this page, I'll have my feature flag project with its README file. The only reason to do that is because I need this URL. So I'll copy that, and then we'll paste that in a second into the HTML. All right. Let's create a quick form. For this, I'm going to use JotForm. It's just a simple tool to quickly throw an MVP form up. You can also use Google Forms, and there are tons of other services like this, or you can build your own from scratch. But in the interest of time, I'm just going to create a new form, create it from scratch, and I'll use the classic form. I'm going to skip organizational settings and just go straight to adding a couple of things to my form. I'm going to add full name from the user, and I'm going to add email address that I'll capture from the user. Then I'm going to rename the form to request a demo. And that's it. Pretty much that's it. Then you can go to settings. There's a couple of things you can change in here. There's a bunch more options, but I'm going to ignore those for now. I will copy the link, and that's really all I need. If you want to open a web browser tab to that link, you can see what that form looks like. And it's pretty much just a blank page like this. Ask for first and last name and email address. When you submit it, it will save it on JotForm, and it will also send you a copy via email. Okay, back in our project, which I had called my project, we are going to open the index file, and we're just going to paste that GitHub link in to the HTML file, save that, and do I have this open already? I don't. I will just open it so you can see what that looks like now. Now our source code link links to GitHub, as you can see down in the corner down here. And our get a demo links to the JotForm, which you can also see down there. And so this page is complete.